Many an object is not seen, though it falls within the range of our visual ray, because it does not come within the range of our intellectual ray. This comes from John Maxwell's How Successful People Think. It is written by Henry David Thoreau. And while you might say, this is really heavy, you may think about this again. Many an object is not seen, though it falls within the range of our visual ray, because it does not come within the range of our intellectual ray. Heavy stuff, but look at it this way. You're traveling down the road and you see one of those cars that are wrapped, or trucks that are wrapped in a sign, and it just goes right on by you. Other times that same vehicle will go by and you're reading it. Why? Because you're thinking about that particular object. You're thinking about that service or that product. I have a good friend that is in the printing business, and her company takes care of wraps around the vehicles. And she posts from time to time, what do you think about this wrap? Or, here's a current one that we've just completed. I'd like to thank the people that are involved and for the opportunity. But we as leaders, we as people, don't necessarily put the value into the signs that we see, or the signs that we put out there. So what are we wrapped in? Comes down to what image do we put out for people to think and see and model? John Maxwell mentions in this book that you got to look out to some examples. You've got to model yourself after some great visionaries or great thinkers, if that's what is within yourself. You can't just do it alone. You need an example. You need to be able to borrow off of others. For instance, George Lucas, Steve Jobs, and Thomas Edison. There are many people, even in today's time, that are great thinkers. John Maxwell is a great thinker. He wouldn't get to the top of various lists of leadership thinkers of our time. He's a great statesman, but this is not a plug for him. This is what he is putting out there. This is the information. This is what he puts out as his image, as what he thinks about, what's important for us to think about. He teaches so that we can continue to reflect on and bring that within our lives. And there's many, many authors out there, many people who I know are giving, good thought, good models, good standards for us to go for. So what's the image that we are wrapping ourselves in? Well, first of all, you could probably look at it if you look at yourself in the mirror. Truly look at yourself in the mirror, not just there's, something here. Oh, goodness, look at the skin issues. This is where I cut myself yesterday, shaving. We worry too much about what our appearance looks like and not what our wrap is doing, what our sign is saying. So leader's sign is about what is it that we are putting out there for people to think about, to model, to know what kind of person we are. Are we a caring person? Do we take time, or do we sit in an office far away, secluded, and we only pop out long enough to get from the office to the car? And maybe it's by a back elevator. I used to know some executives who, didn't want to go through the regular elevator because, they were deemed too important, and you don't know what kind of crazies were in the elevator. So they had their private elevator, took them right to their garage or right to the 10th floor for their lunch. Now that's great. It's a private elevator and secluded, and, you don't have to have the world seeing where you're going. But sometimes it makes sense to walk among the people that you serve. Sometimes it takes a good sign for people to realize that you do care and that What is it that you're writing on that sign, on that wrap? What are the things that you are focused on that will help others? How do you think? What is it, the things that you're thinking about? Thoughts are things, and you may hoard your thoughts. You may not share them, or you may not develop them well. But you do know that successful people have the right sign. They put the right sign on them, not just to boast about, hey, I'm a great thinker. No, but to share and be able to say, you're welcome. You're welcome to come. I want to touch and talk with you. Hello, Mark. Welcome. What are we thinking? What's the sign that we're wearing about how we work as a leader, how we are implementing and impacting people daily? What is it that we want people to see on our sign? Not just, again, for self-promotion, because self-promotion is selfish, and this is about unselfish sign. What is it that we want people to see about us, to know of us? That, hey, that's a nice guy. He really cares about people. It takes time to talk with people. He talked with me. He talked and shared a story with me. He empathized with me. He understood what I was going through. Hey, I got a great tip from him. And it's changed my day. Or I would have never thought of that without him. And I'm using him or he, and it could be she, it could be, her, it could be, whoever. There's a person. We can just talk about it as people. What are we wearing as signs? What are we saying? Now, I have a sign. We might have our company logo on, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what we carry as our wrap. What is it that we are showing to people? And what does it mean? What does it mean to your day? And do we, as people on our sign, again, put specific things that we want people to know that we're good for? Or do we model it? Do we live it? What are the values that we have? What are the values that people should see that we live to? What do we model? What do we live? In Guatemala, one of the parts of the exercise that we were teaching people how to facilitate was to be able to read through a passage on a particular law of leadership or a core value that was important to Guatemala's future. And there was a story and there was a element to being able to say, okay, this is what this law is about or this value is about. These are the components. One of the questions is, who do I see that models this? Who do I see that lives this, that I could live my life better because I would be watching that person for that value? Now, each of us, we don't hit the 15 valuable laws of growth equally. Some of us, most of us, have only a couple of laws that we do really well. Others we do okay, and some of them we're really weak in. What are the ones that we're wearing that say, this is what I work on. This is what I do in my life. This is what people can see. Yes, Mark, as leaders, we have a responsibility to lead ourselves first. Everyone in our tribe is always watching us for reference and inspiration. Yeah, that's a great point. It's a great thought. And that, yes, how we live is how others see us. Now, we may cover it up. We may put another wrap around it that says, no, don't see that. We're too humble. We don't want people to recognize that. But sometimes in the deepest moment, in the deepest struggle, those particular values, those particular strengths come forward. Why not model them every day? Why not take them and make them a part of who we are? Wear it on us, not to self-promote, but to know that people can come to us, that we can come to them. We can go to them and say, hey, you need a hug, or you need an embrace, or you need someone just to listen, or you need someone to help you think and then act. Thoughts are things, and if thoughts are things and you just hoard the thoughts and you don't act on the thoughts, they're just thoughts. We need to put things into action, but it starts with, how do we develop ourselves? How do we grow ourselves? What are the things that we are putting out to be, a better person? I'm just trying to look here at, things on my desk here, but what are we, in the old day, we would say, what are you telegraphing? What are you communicating? What are you broadcasting? That's another way of looking at sign. What are you broadcasting? It could be a radio, right? It could be the radio. And what are we broadcasting out to others? What are they hearing? Signs are only meant to be there so that we think about them. Our struggles reveal who we are. We have a decision to make every time there is an adversity, or challenge. We can choose and decide better. It's going to be better every time. We can do better. We can make our wrap, our sign, brighter. We can make it a thought. We can make it something that people will catch in their mind, as Thoreau would say, that we would bring into our intellectual, and we would think about it and we would act on it. We can raise the element, take our thoughts, take our actions to a greater level, to the apex, and look beyond. We can help others. Once we develop ourselves, we can help others get there. But it's not one then the other. It's one and then the others at a similar time or shortly thereafter. It's been said in Toastmasters, which I have mentioned, that was in over 12 years in Toastmasters in various capacities. And there are times where you didn't feel qualified to evaluate the person speaking, because you might be a little bit behind that person in their journey. You might be ahead, but you didn't want to critique them or give them stuff that they can't use, or bring in the kitchen sink to fix one issue. So it was a challenge to be an evaluator. But what it really brings us to is, how do we communicate? How do we connect? How do we build that bridge so that people understand how we operate, but that we reach out, that we're willing to help them take that next step. We may have accomplished something in our lives that will take them one step further and faster if they apply the lesson in their life, to the things they're going through. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the comments today. So as we wrap up this thought about our signage, what do we wear? What are we broadcasting? Is it of just passing, that people just ignore us because they don't see that which they're looking for? Or do we broadcast something out? Do we mirror something in our lives that will help them think and raise their intellectual thought, to raise and ponder and reflect on, and be able to see within you, how strong is it, say, the law of growth, the law of development. If you develop yourself, then you can develop others. If you can develop your understanding, your thought process to a better height, to a better apex, are you going to develop others? How strong do you say that in your life today? And what is it, the one thing that you can do to make it stronger? That's the other question that really gets you to think. You can say, oh, I'm really strong. And I've gone through several leaders recently in evaluating them for a prestigious recognition. And they were asked, how strong on equipping, how strong on relationships, how strong on leadership? And do you put 10s down or 9s and say, well, there's no improvement, I'm doing a really great job? Or can you find that one thing that could make you a better person? And your 10 is going to be different, or your 9 is going to be different than another person, understandable. But the thought process is, I know I can do better, and here's how. Or this is where I don't quite act strongly. I have a weakness, and that I need to bring people alongside me. So sometimes that sign might say, hey, help wanted. I need somebody with me to fortify this particular strength and to make it stronger and to compensate, to collaborate, to bring more value to the world, to really step beyond. That's how we can get to the apex, together, hand in hand, lifting each other because we have a desire to get to the top and beyond. I am Joe Dutkiewicz. I'm the Chief Leadership Thought Partner, but that's not a title. The title is I'm a person. And I've gone in places before, and I've helped others get there faster and higher. Work with me, be with me, talk with me, communicate, connect. I want to connect with you. Let's go higher, let's go faster, let's go further, because this world is waiting for us to explore and waiting for us to help others get there faster and higher. Take care. Connect soon.